This is our first snow. Looks like we got maybe an inch and a half, and then now it's raining. A little bit of, it's like a mist. This will all probably melt away, but it'll take all day to do that. What I don't like about this is everywhere you go, it's just wet, sloshy, kind of like trudging through a stream all day. Every time you take the dog out, you go out to the car. It looks like I'm going to have to waterproof my boots again. Yeah, that's what I'll spend my day doing. All right, let me get going with this day. So today I'm going to waterproof my boots. These are my go-to boots for working outside if I'm going to be out most of the day. The lower sections here are all leather. There is a little man-made material here around the top or edge, but and it's got a good base to it, so it's good in the snow and the rough weather. I also use these. These, if I'm walking the dog, I'm out there briefly. This is all rubber here. You know, and you can see this. So this is all waterproof because usually your toe gets the most of the moisture. You know, they do zip up, although I tend not to zip them up most of the time, and I'm told that I should. And as a result, now the zipper doesn't like to work. So I've taken the heat for that. This is another pair I wear. This section here is mostly leather, and then there is some man-made material thrown in here. It's a conglomeration of stuff. So I'll waterproof the uppers here, but you know, it's kind of redundant. So anyway, this is what we wore when we were kids. Everybody had a leather top. In fact, most of us didn't even have the rubber part. This was all leather also. And boy, these things got wet. If you were out all day long, which kids were, and your foot was in there, your sock got wet, your toes got wet. A few people got frostbite, lost a few toes. It got ugly, but it was what we grew up with, and we didn't know any better. Everybody's mom had a drawer in their kitchen filled with plastic bags. They saved them for every possible reason you could think of. And so most of us had this. We would line our boot with a bread bag like this and slide your foot in, and of course, you know, the bag would rip and it would get ugly. You'd go through bags sometimes 2 or 3 a day, and but when you went to school and you took your boots off at school, which they did in the coat room, I guess I'm dating myself, but you'd see all the Wonder Breads bags and all the other bread bags hanging around. And that's what you kept your foot dry, you know. You'd have wool socks, so, you know, the wool would react better with a wet foot than cotton, but your feet were cold. That was the bottom line. The old timers used to grease their boots, and they would use different kind of animal fat, bear fat usually, and then someone got onto the idea of using mink oil. And mink oil works really well. If you have a pet at home, it'll drive that dog nuts when he smells your boots, but it keeps your boot dry. And you can see this is an old boot, and the leather is still supple because every year I put a coat of mink oil on her. If you don't, the leather gets wet, and then when you dry it out on your radiator or by your fire, it gets all cracked and dry, eventually deteriorates the leather, all that wet, dry business. So I like to do the mink oil every year to do this. So today, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean these boots up, pull the laces out, and apply a layer of mink oil, and I can get rid of the bag. So let's get started on doing this. Okay, first of all, I'm going to remove the laces out of this pair of boots only. I like to get a really good layer of oil on these. Take care of that. Now, if you haven't done already, you want to take a brush and clean any loose dirt off. I've already done these, but you want to do that just to keep the dirt out of the oil. Now today I'm using, it's just a can of mink oil. It goes by the name SOFSOLE, but you know, there's 100 different brands out there, and I got this at a big box store in the section where they had shoes and they had shoe polish and stuff, and it just says mink oil. You know, it's real simple. It's a 3.5 ounce can. It's just generic, I guess. You know, it says press here to open. Apparently, you need more directions. In any event, there it is. It's a pasty wax, and I'm going to use this brush I picked up. It would probably help if I had warmed this up. It's very cold today, but we're going to see what we can do and get this on here. And then I brush it in. And the areas that I'm looking for are wherever there's a sewn edge or the two materials meet. That's kind of where I really want to get it in there. It's very difficult. Some people warm these up, but you can't do it in a microwave, but so as you can see right here, this is where you're going to get a lot of moisture. Right in here where the tongue meets the toe. And of course the surfaces. I'm typically not wading through streams and fording rivers and stuff, so it's not too bad, but you go out in the winter and you get snow inevitably on the top of your boot, you know, walking around or doing whatever you're doing. And the heat from your feet will melt that snow. And you want that water then to run off. If you don't, it's going to soak into the boot. So your foot needs to breathe when it's in the shoe. So in the process of doing that, it's, you know, expelling heat, and that's where you get all your problems right there. When I bought these, the leather was a lot lighter and in color, and it's the continual layers of mink oil that causes it to darken up as the leather soaks all that material in. Now I'm gonna let this sit for a bit while I do the other boot. I'm going to turn the camera off, and because you can easily see what I'm doing here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more about this. Okay, I got the boots covered. Grab myself a cup of coffee, and we're all set. It's soaked in for a little while. We're all set to kind of wipe it off. I'm going to start with just a rag. I'm using a cloth rag and getting the excess off. I don't need to get it completely off. I'm not shining the shoe. I'm just getting the biggest part of it off, so it doesn't get everywhere. And you can see where I've got it all into where the threads are. And that's important because the thread will be the first thing that breaks down with the constant getting wet and drying, scuffing the sides of your boot on something or whatever, it could score it and everything. And once the threads start breaking down, drying out, the boot just falls apart. Nowadays, people, the weather changes a little bit and everyone runs to the shoe store and buys a new pair of shoes. In the old days, that didn't happen. Once your foot stopped growing, you had a pair of shoes like for the rest of your life. So now maybe we won't do that today, but it certainly doesn't hurt to take care of them and get a number of years out of them. These boots here are probably 10, 11 years old. And I'll probably use them for the rest of my life, frankly, but because I take care of them and just keep them dry. Now, if you do get them wet, you step on ice, you go through into the water and stuff, now you got to dry the boot out. You want to get it off as soon as possible and change, but you fill it with newspaper and you put it in a warm spot. You don't want it right on the radiator or on top of the stove, but you want it to dry out like in a gradual way. The newspaper inside the boot will absorb the water from the inside, and the air movement around the outside of the boot will take care of the outside. That's how you dry them out. Leave them sit there overnight, and then you can start all over again. I did do the toes on these just because, there's a lot of thread up there, and I found a few spots where it's loosening up, but, these are good. If you don't have a lot of stuff on the ground, you can walk around with these, but you don't have to wear boots all winter up north. People think you do. You don't have to, I wouldn't wear flip-flops, but I don't know. I've gone out with Crocs on to go to the compost if it's all plowed, but that's me, So anyway, okay, so those are pretty much done wiping off the excess. I'm going to buff them with a brush. You don't have to do this, but I do just to kind of get into those tight spots. It doesn't have to shine, but they look a lot better. Okay, that's that. These two. Now, one thing I found is that nowadays, when you buy a pair of boots, you get some of the worst laces that I've ever seen. I cannot find a pair of boots that you find, a good pair that you like and a good set of laces that go with it. They put these really cheap laces in there. So when I got these, I threw the laces away. And I bought a stronger pair, but I couldn't get the right size. So what I did was I determined how much was too long, and I tied a knot in the middle, like this. And when I relace them, this knot goes right down here, and then I go back and forth to show me where the middle is. That's helpful, but it uses up that extra lace, so you don't have these bows on your feet like this. You don't want to look like Mickey Mouse, and you don't want to be tripping on them. So that's kind of what I do with that. I'll lace these up later. You've seen that. So, mom's bag. So we get to these, okay? So you can actually make this zipper work again. All you need to do is if it needs to be cleaned out, you need to clean it out, but these look pretty good. But what I do is I take a piece of wax. This was golf wax. You get a box of it at the store. Or you can use a candle. I've seen people use crayons too. And you get this wax into the zipper. This does two things. It helps to repel water, and water is the problem here. You get dust or dirt in there, and then you get the water, and it solidifies, and the teeth on the zipper won't go together when you attempt to zip it. So now maybe I can get this to go. We'll see. It's trying. And I should, with these, I should do this more often. There we go. I got it to go. Now once I get it up, I'll hit it again. Just like that. And you can renew the zipper. So when you're tugging on this and it won't go, you just have to be careful, but there. That's how you renew the zipper on a shoe. Because your foot's low to the ground, you're picking up more debris. So these things are gonna clog, all right? Now I have a winter jacket that's happens in a similar way, but it's from when I'm out in the rain and the slushy snow and everything. The zipper kind of like gets junk on it and it doesn't want to work. So let me show you how I do that. Now it's easier for me to do this with the jacket on. This is the jacket. It's got a heavy duty zipper, but when I find that I don't think it's too bad today, because I do this every year, and it's tough going. And so what I do is I take this, get it all the way up, I take this and I wax the zipper. Now this is just like an old barn coat, so I'm not too concerned with getting wax on anything, or, that's not a problem. There, look at that. Just like that. Now they have these things that I can snap it over. I don't do that, I go out there and I'm maybe shoveling or cleaning off the solar panels or getting the car uncovered, and that's, so this gets all wet, and then when it dries, it just gets gunky. So anyway, so that's how you do the zippers on the shoes. So now you know how to do your boots. You can get more years out of them. So every year you're not spending $150 on a pair of boots and then having them go bad. That's pretty much it. It's real simple. This was a couple bucks at the store. I bought this for like $1 and change. You may have one hanging around your house. And then you just spend a little time, and then your mom will supply the bread bags, and you don't have to line your boot with them anymore. So what you can do is you can take it and put your brush in there. She'll be happy. And your boots will be dry. So I guess that's about it. I just have to lace these babies up and then get back out there in the snow. So I wanted to thank you for watching, and I'd like you to subscribe if you would, and click on the bell, and then you can see my other videos when they pop up. And as far as I'm concerned right now, it's coffee time, and time to get in by that fire. We'll see ya. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to leave your thoughts below in the comment area of playing as a kid out in the snow and sledding and getting wet feet and using mom's plastic bags to keep them dry. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I've been putting out more videos lately, and I hope to continue so through the winter.